Hey guys, welcome back, and today we're taking a look at the Marathon GSAR, which happens to be what I'm wearing today. In today's video, I want to talk about what it's been to have the Marathon for a little over a year now. So that's coming up right after this. Right, so actually out of all the watches I have, the one I've gotten the most questions about is the Marathon GSAR. So I thought I'd go ahead and kind of do a 1 year later with the Marathon GSAR, and there's a couple key points that I want to hit on. I've got some notes here. I don't know if you can tell, I'm not feeling particularly well, not sure what's going on. But a couple of key things I want to talk about are its reliability, versatility, comfort, and the fact that it's a little bit dual purpose, but we'll get into that in a second. Now, the Marathon's been my go-to watch really for the past year. I mean, it's a 300-meter ISO rated diver, which means it's pretty much ready for everything and anything that I do when we take the family out. I know it can handle anything. It's taken plenty of knocks along the way. Now, I am personally a fan of the tritium tubes. I know it's not giving you like this crazy flashlight effect of your classic Seikos, but it's also never let me down. And for that reason, it gives me more than enough legibility for me to be able to see whenever it's not particularly bright outside. So with all that in mind, after having it for about a year, I gave it a Simon Crane style tough test. In the first one, I actually put it in the washer with a load of the boys' clothes, which is a tall order in and of itself. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was actually pretty nervous because I could hear that stainless steel case occasionally banging around as the washer turned. Now, once it was done, I went ahead, opened it up, and started to look for the Marathon. Now, when the load was done, I looked through the clothes until I found it, and my heart did drop just a little bit when I realized that the crown had come unscrewed. Now, I checked the time on it to see how the knocking around had messed with it, and it was actually, I think, about 5 minutes off from when I had set it before I put it in the washer. Now, I readjusted the time, kept an eye on it, and this test was almost 2 months ago, and she's still running strong. Not long after that test was over, I put the GSAR in the freezer underneath some ice in the ice maker and left it there until I got home in the evening the next day. Now, you can see when I pulled it out of there, it was pretty frozen. The sapphire had ice frozen over it, but you could still see that seconds hand ticking strong. Now, the next test is one that my boys were actually pretty excited about. It was time to put the Marathon on the pavement and run it over with my Toyota Corolla. And that's exactly what I did. Twice. Now, when I got out of the car, I was a little comforted by the fact that I knew I'd be able to replace the sapphire crystal if I'd cracked it. But I was happy as hell when I saw that it was perfectly okay. Oddly enough, my destructive kids seemed disappointed that the pavement wasn't littered with watch guts. Now, as I mentioned, this little survival test was done about 2 months ago, and since then it's been running strong with no timekeeping issues. Now, I haven't checked the plus minus X amount of seconds a day value, but I set it a minute fast every time I wear it, and it stays a minute ahead for as long as I have it on. Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the 2824 ticking away in here is still perfectly fit for duty. The only noticeable battle scar is along the bezel from the 35-minute to 40-minute marking, where you can see here that the white filled portion of the bezel in that area came off while the Marathon was in the washer. Other than that, it came out pretty unscathed. As for the bangs and scratches it's taken along the way in regular wear, it's well disguised by the brush finish, and you have to take a pretty close look at it to find any of those beauty marks. So I think in terms of reliability, just with the general wear that I put it through while I had it, not to mention this little test that I kind of did to it just for fun, I think it's pretty safe to say the Marathon is reliable. The next area that I want to talk about is when it comes to versatility. Now, I know it's a military diver, but it does look super badass on the bracelet. It actually comes with a really nice bracelet. It looks just at home, obviously on NATOs, which is what I do sometimes wear it on when we're out and about. But my favorite combination for the Marathon is actually on a leather band. And I know that seems crazy, but my favorite pairing is actually this V-Stitch Watch Gecko handmade Italian leather band. And I just, what's crazy about it is that besides this very kind of military diver look, it actually looks pretty good and dresses up pretty nicely on a leather band. So if you put it on leather, you're going to be able to wear this in more than just a pair of basketball shorts and flip-flops. Now, in regard to comfort, some of you might think, or you've hesitated to get it because of the protruding crown. You can see how far that crown kind of comes out past the crown guards, and part of that's the requirement, the mil spec requirement, that this particular crown be operable with gloves. So I was also initially worried that it would actually be uncomfortable. See kind of how it comes up against the wrist there. But I, generally speaking, and this is just for me, I have a 6.5-inch wrist. Generally speaking, I wear it just a little bit loose. So despite the fact that it does have a pretty big crown, it hasn't ever gotten uncomfortable. It's certainly never gotten to the point where I feel like I need to take it off because it's bothering me. But again, that's just me and how I wear the watch. So do I personally think it's an issue when people ask me? No, because I've had it for over a year and it's never bothered me. Now, the last thing that I want to touch on with this piece is that it's dual purpose. And now I'm specifically talking to the parents out there. Now, you will be happy to hear that in addition to giving you the time, date, rugged reliability, and water resistance, this watch can also help you keep the kids in line. On more than one occasion, after my asking Eli and Coda to calm down, they have not, and while running around, their clumsy heads have in fact found my wrist, armed with none other than Marathon GSAR. Shockingly, after a head-on collision with my stainless steel case, they mosey on over to the couch until their head stops throbbing. I gotta tell you, that pretty much feels like a win. I do recommend you trying to pick one of these up secondhand, if at all possible, on the forums. I picked this one up for $550. It came with box, papers, the factory rubber strap, and also the factory metal bracelet. All that $550. So if you can manage to find one of these secondhand, it's going to save you tons of cash and you won't regret it. All I can say for sure is that I've personally never regretted this purchase. Having said that, I'd love to hear what you guys think about what is essentially my favorite diver. If you guys enjoyed this video or found it useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And as always, if this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. That's it for this one. CG out.